Hola, I'm Ignacio Ventura, your host.
Hello, and I'm Lili, Fifield, co-host, and welcome to Somos Uno, brought to you by Synergy One Lending.
As always, today we strive to create an asset that serves those in the Latino community.
And with the help of today's guests, we seek to create ties with the places, the culture, and the history of the people and the city and what they serve.
Absolutely, and just like we want all of you to set goals and get inspired, our goal is to do our part as the trusted voice for the Latino community. So let's get started, Lili.
That's right. Today we have a really special guest, Elias Gallegos. He's the CEO and president of East Lake Alliance. He's going to tell us how he's doing his part to make a difference in the community.
As well, we're going to have Daniela Porter, who will be showing us a small portion of her film, Made in America, which is a great story.
Yes, I saw the teaser, so I'm really excited. And you know what else you guys need to be excited for? Our host, Ignacio, you have some tips for us today, is that right?
Absolutely. You know, there's a lot of myths out there about home buying and what's required and what's not. We're going to discuss some of those today, Lili.
I think I have a lot of questions, so I'm really excited to get started.
I'm ready. Let's do it. Welcome back to Somos Uno. Today in studio, I have a very special guest that is going to share with us her film. Daniela Porter was with the San Diego Latino Film Festival, and you submitted a very, very interesting documentary called Made in America. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me here. I'm very honored to be in Somos Uno. Qué buena onda, me encanta. Y le quiero mandar un saludo muy especial a Amanda. Just Amanda, she's been a very nice producer today, made me feel very comfortable. I'm at home. So yeah, I will tell you about the Made in America. It is a very documentary. They have 3 stories. We just finished one. It is in the film festival running right now. And it is a privilege to count a story that it is involved in the border, San Diego, DJ. You know, it's the life of what happening here. People that are here come to San Diego to work, to criar los niños.
Looking for a better life, absolutely.
Better life, but what they leave behind. What it takes to you to come here to work and cross the border every day is scary. Like, because they are not supposed to work here. So what they have to leave behind also, their families, their kids. That is the story about.
It is, and there's plenty of people that come here. You know, I mean, several years ago, there was people that would come here, you know, work in the farms, be seasonal workers, and they would come here, you know, they would pick our fruits and vegetables to make money for their families, and then when harvest season was over, they would go back to Mexico. Correct, and be with their families, and then the next year, when the harvest came around, they would again leave them and then come back to the U.S., work for several months, and then go back and be with their families. But that does take a toll on families, because if you don't have mom and dad in the home, then it leaves one parent in charge of all the responsibilities.
Exactly, and in this case, it is a male who stayed at home because he got injury and couldn't work anymore. So that's why the woman had to go out, the wife had to go out and work. And we are covering what the kids have to go through. And we asked at the end, would you like to have all these toys, all those electronic devices, or your mom? And he definitely said, my mother.
It is, you know, because you have to have, I mean, if you have all the toys in the world, that just can't replace your mom being there for you, to tuck you in, to make you dinner, to do all that stuff that a mom does for their kids, you know, and especially in our culture, in the Hispanic culture, that's, I mean, she is the heart of the family. If you don't have I mean, the dad's always there and there's that persona, but the mom is the one that takes care of your boo-boos and everything else, right?
But that's the point. The thing is that you cannot get back to that time.
No.
You know, that mother, they already did the job, right? They say, okay, I can't get back this time with my son. So there is a really inside, deeply inside, it is a heartbroken. And it's a guilt, it is sadness, all the sacrifice. And that's something you can't replace.
You can't, and you know what happens is when they're working, you know, for another family, raising their kids, what's really interesting is that they actually treat those kids like if they were their own. I mean, they care of them. It's not just a job for them. It's actually what they do and how I would bring my kid a snack, how I would do their laundry, iron their clothes, whatever it is.
You know, but I want to ask you something. When you go to work here, right? You go to work, you have 8 hours. So you have 2 breaks and a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
The nanny have that?
They don't. They don't have any breaks. Absolutely not. They can't.
They work all
check
day,
out.
all day long. And then if they have to go somewhere in the evening, like say, oh, they go to a meeting, they go to a gala or whatever, who's take care of the kids after 8, 9, and 10, 11? That lady. And they're not, all of them being treated as it's supposed to, and they are not really paid as it's supposed to. There are people that don't even get paid. There are people that get paid delayed. There are people that get paid really in a very bad conditions. They are being treated in a really bad condition, and they have to go with the mood of the mood, and also when they are not any longer working for the family, the connection they do with the kids, they also go loving that person, and then they have to, okay, they get fired or whatever. So there is a lot of stories behind, and that's why I wanted to ask you, everyone who's listening here, if you have a nanny in your home, if you have someone who's taking care of your children, who's doing your laundry, appreciation, acknowledgement, because that is something that we need to do in this border. We need to come together to treat more women and all these people that sacrifice their life and compensate it and be thankful, just to smile, to treat them good.
You know, it is. And, something that was interesting, and your film really touched my heart, and I'll tell you why. Because my mom, when she was 12 years old, again, she's from Mexico, in Michoacan, Morelia, she went to live with a family, and she was the nanny of the house. So, this family was well off, and so she actually raised the kids literally from the hospital to their crib. She was there, there was 3 kids. She raised them all from where they were babies till they were grown adults. And so my mom was that lady that was there 24/7. If the kids were sick, guess who was taking care of the kids? She was, because she was the person that would, put them to bed, read them their bed stories, do all this stuff, just because that's who the nanny is. And that person was a part of their family. When they went on vacations, it wasn't a question of who's going or we taking the nanny. It's like now we have a family of, for them, it was a family of 6, because their nanny was a part of that, and that's who they gave her that position in our family. And to this day, we call, her employers back then, abuelita and abuelito, just because they treated her like a daughter. Anything she needed, she was there, and they took care of them, So I think you have some very valid points that we do have to look at the people that work with us and that, raise our kids, that they're not just employees. You got to treat them like part of their family, because guess what? They're taking care of your most important person, your kids, right?
Exactly.
So, Daniela, can you tell us where can people get a hold of you if they'd like to get some more information about the film or about yourself if they want to get in contact with you?
Well, we have my co-producer is Laura Castañeda, and we are creating very documentaries, but you can reach me actually in www.danielaporter.com, and then we can start from there.
That's awesome, Daniela. Thank you very much for coming on today. Your film is amazing. I can't wait to see the whole thing. I saw a little trailer, and I'm very, very intrigued about it. So thank you for joining us. Coming up next, we'll have Elias Gallegos from the Alliance East Lake Foundation, and he's going to share with us how he's making a difference in his community. But we're going to leave you with a sneak preview of Made in America, the film by Daniela Porter.
Pues creo que tanta gente que va, pero es por lo mismo. Pues no estoy de acuerdo, pero pues sin embargo lo hace uno, como dices, por necesidad.
Mi familia ha sido afectada por esa situación y porque la figura materna no se puede suplir.
Welcome back. For today's community segment, we have Elias Gallegos. He is the president CEO of Alliance Jiu-Jitsu in East Lake. And I've known the family for a long time, but I know you guys haven't, and I had no clue how much of an impact they were making in the community. So I'm really proud to say that they are dear friends, and I'd love to share that story with you. So let's get right into it. Elias, I know that you're a businessman now,
Right.
but it didn't start that way. So tell us a little bit of background.
Yeah, sure. Born and raised in San Diego, grew up in Chula Vista area, and just, got in trouble as a kid a lot, like any other kid, I guess. Played sports, and what ended up happening is, long story short, I got involved with just some, got in trouble, got involved with some bad people, and realized that I needed to make a difference, needed to make a change in my life, right?
And what's the point that made you realize that? What happened?
I went to jail. I
Okay.
went to jail. Was looking at some serious time.
That was the low point.
And that was one of the low points, yes. And then I realized I needed to make a change. And lo and behold, the change came. I gave my life, turned my life over to Christ. Started going to church again, and.
And is that how you got into jiu-jitsu?
So I got into jiu-jitsu because I played sports in high school, and once I graduated from high school, there was nothing else for me to do. And at that time, the UFC had just started, and I felt like it was just like wrestling, and I threw myself into that, and I'm one of the first Americans to actually start training jiu-jitsu in San Diego.
And the first Latino, I imagine.
I'm actually the highest ranking Latino. It doesn't make any difference, but I'm actually the highest ranking Latino.
Of course, it makes a difference. It's a Latino show. It makes a big difference for all the Latinos out there.
I'm the highest ranking Latino in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in San Diego right now.
Wow, that's amazing. So, jiu-jitsu, you said you went from maybe a troubled youth to a very, I guess would say, a very structured sport, something that
Right.
requires a lot of respect.
A lot of discipline, yes.
How was that shift?
It was easy and hard. Growing up in a Latino family, my father was very strict, very rigid, and coming from that background, every kid I believe wants structure. Every person is born with that innate ability to understand we need structure, right? Every little kid needs structure.
You might not want it.
Right, but we might not want it, but we know that we need it. And so definitely the martial arts helps us with discipline, understanding how to take, advice. It helps us, more importantly, to become leaders. It teaches us what leadership is and what it is to become a better human being. So that's what I learned from the martial arts.
And now you're able to become a leader in the community.
Yes.
And I feel like you chose some of these programs that you're working with because of your background. Is that what inspired you to make a difference now?
Well, you know what? So here's the thing. Growing up in San Diego, it's a military community. And this hits very close to home because, especially with jiu-jitsu, a lot of military people take jiu-jitsu, right? A lot of military law enforcement guys take jiu-jitsu. And this is how it hit me. This is how I began trying to get back. I had a friend who was in the military, and one day he just left, right? He went overseas, and I didn't know. I just know that he left. And then I saw him a couple of years later, right? And he shows up to my gym, high, drunk, and he sits down right in front of my desk, and he tells me that he wants to kill himself.
How were you able to handle this? I mean,
I went to school. I have my degree in theology and a degree in counseling, so I was able to use that to kind of just talk to him, right? And I'm sitting in front of this guy that was a former student I haven't seen in a couple of years, right? But he came to my academy.
And came to you.
And came to me, and he's telling me that he wants to kill himself, right? Yeah. And at this point in my life, I have no idea what PTSD is. I don't understand what's going on. I just know that a lot of our guys are going over to
Overseas,
fight,
yeah.
and they're coming back, and something is different about them, right? And so
it's hard to pinpoint, but now we have PTSD.
Right.
We have the term.
And so, little by little, I start to realize, okay, this is PTSD. I started to do my research, and so I told him, you know what? Just come and train with me. Come and train, and let's try to keep you out of trouble. And we were there at my academy for like 3 hours. Wow. And he finally decided, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go home. And he came back and trained with me. He was there for a couple of years, And so I thought to myself, and I'm really big on social media, so I thought to myself, okay, okay, here's what my father instilled in me. Success is not about what kind of car you drive. Success is not about how big your house is, how much money you have in the bank. You become successful, my father taught me, when you're able to give back without expecting anything in return.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
And God has blessed me and my family and my gym so much that was the starting point for me. I said, okay, how can I give back? This is one person in the military. How many other people out there are going through this exact same thing? And as I was researching PTSD, you find the stats, 22 veterans a day commit suicide, right, from PTSD. So all I did was this. I got on Facebook, right, I made a little video, and I said, if you are a combat veteran suffering from PTSD, come to my gym, and I will give you 6 months free. No questions asked. I'll supply all the equipment for you. 6 months free. Come and try it out, right?
So that was your way of giving back. And then
Yes.
I know you're also doing that with women that have gone through domestic violence.
Right.
You're also offering, which is another thing that I had seen that I had no clue, and I think it's beautiful, that you also offer them free membership and the equipment. So
Right.
you teach them how to defend themselves after they've gone through something so
Right.
traumatic. And youth, I think also youth was included in there, right?
I work with at-risk youth. I work hand in hand with the San Diego Police Department, the Southeastern Division. It's called the Diversion Program, and it's at-risk youth, kids that have gotten in trouble. And we know that you and I know that once you're in the system, there is a 75% chance that you're going to get right back in, right? So for whatever reason, the judge allows them to go through this diversion program. If they pass the diversion program, they're not in the system, right? So if they pass this 6-week program, and during that 6 weeks, they're coming to me, right? I mentor, I counsel. If they don't have the means to get to me, I pay for it out of my own pocket. Taxi, Uber, gas money, whatever it takes for them to get there, right? 99% of these kids just need a role model, a male role model, right? And so what I do is I give them a lifetime membership. It's worth $7,000. I give them a lifetime membership to my academy, and we get them in there. And if they're in there with me, they're not on the streets. Right? And that's the
right.
most important thing.
So for someone that's watching and would like to connect with you or possibly, resonates with these stories, how could they get a hold of you?
They can give me a call at 619-931-4370. That's my academy. That's my personal cell phone number, right? So if you want to call me and get a hold of me, I don't like emailing. I want people to talk to me because I want to hear people's voices. I want them to hear my voice, how passionate I am.
Yes.
They can call me. That's the business line, but that goes straight to my personal.
They're a little timid. What about the social media side?
So they can go to, or they can email me at gallegos.alias@yahoo.com. They can go to alliancebjjeastlake.com. That is our gym website.
They can get a hold of you on the website.
Yes, or allianceeastlakefoundation.org. That's my foundation website. And they can just get a hold of me. If they have anybody that is dealing with PTSD, they know an at-risk youth, they are a female victim of domestic violence, they don't have to go through my programs. But if somebody is watching and listening, I take anybody. They don't have to come through the programs that I work with. I take anybody off the street that's dealing with those things.
And I was fortunate enough to take one of your self-defense classes. And
How'd you
I
like
have
it?
to say that you made everyone feel at home. It was my first time. I had no clue, but again, for someone that's not sporty, had never done anything like this, I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for being here today. And again, a beautiful message. Honestly, your father taught you right. You're doing the right thing by giving back to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Right after this, we're going to have more stories. You're watching Somos Uno, and we'll be right back.
Every client.
Every client.
Every client.
Every client.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
No exceptions.
No exceptions.
No exceptions.
No exceptions.
No excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses. Every client. Every time. No exceptions.
No excuses.
Welcome back, guys, and thank you for staying with us. I don't have to introduce our next guest because it is Ignacio, but I do have to tell you guys that I have a lot of questions when it comes to the housing market, and he is an expert. And being a young Latina, I know sometimes a lot of people that I know think that it's something that it's out of our reach, but it isn't, and that's why we have Ignacio. Ignacio, I know that sometimes I talk about, being young, being a Latina, and some of the, I guess, stigmas that come along with it. some of the mentality that we have as Latinos, not just necessarily young, but even our parents, our grandparents, when it comes to purchasing homes. So I know right now it's a seller's market.
Absolutely.
So are people buying homes? How easy is it right now to purchase a home?
You know, Lily, as long as you get pre-approved and you have certain things in line, it's not that difficult to buy a home. You know, one of the products that most people are using right now to purchase a home is an FHA loan, which is, you know, considered a first-time home buyer loan. One of the myths that I wanted to share with you was that people think that you have to have 20% down to buy a home.
Yes.
And that is a ridiculous amount of money.
It seems out of reach.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you just think about a purchase price of $400,000, 20% is $80,000. I mean, I don't know how long it would take you to save $80,000, but it would take me quite a while
Exactly.
to put that away.
So I know that we were talking about Latinos and the culture, and even when it comes to someone that's older, what if they haven't established their credit yet? Is it the same process?
It's the same process. You know, fortunately, once you're older, if you have, say, other relatives or sons, nephews, whoever, you can also do something where you can actually attach some of their credit onto yours. And the way that you do that is, you know, for example, say if it's mom and dad and say they've never used credit, but their sons and daughters understand how credit works. What they can do is if the son or daughter has a credit card, they can request an authorized user card for mom or dad. And so what happens is essentially the credit history that the son or daughter have built will transfer onto mom or dad.
That's amazing. And I think it also happens the other way, right? With your parents, if you're young and you don't have any credit established,
Absolutely.
your parents can also do that for you.
They can do that for you. And so you definitely want to have your own trade lines, meaning your own credit cards and stuff like that. But it definitely helps to have authorized user accounts in your credit because that's establishing your credit.
I know you were talking also about first-time buyers. There's also incentives for people if
Yes.
they are first-time buyers. How does that work?
Oh my gosh, that is amazing, Lily. You know, so what I said, you know, initially people thought you need 20% to buy a house, and that's a lot of money. Now there's products for 3%, 3.5% down. Well, there's also something else. There's actually grant programs that give you money for the down payment that you don't have to pay it back. There's also
That's
programs,
amazing.
you know, that let you borrow money for a down payment for closing costs. So if you can just gather up a little bit of money for an earnest money deposit, you can actually borrow all the money that you need to buy the house for the down payment and for your closing costs.
And who qualifies for these grants?
You know, there are requirements. You know, you have to take a first-time homebuyer class. You have to have a credit score of like 640 and up, which a 640 credit score, it's not that difficult to get. I mean, actually, it's pretty low. If you try to go buy a car with a 640 credit score, you're going to have
A big payment.
a huge payment. So I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of ways that we can help our clients. And a big part of what we do at Synergy is we actually help clients and we educate them on how to establish their credit. So even if you're not ready to buy a house right now, I can put you on a path to buy a home in a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, whatever your specific situation is. But the most important thing is to kind of get started, get pre-approved, see where you are now. Because eventually, if you want to own a home, you have to plan like anything else in life.
Exactly. It sounds like you just have to get educated. I feel like sometimes, like you said, with the 20%, we hear these things, so we just imagine that it's not a possibility. But like you said, there's also these courses. So what do they learn in the first-time buyer courses?
So the first-time homebuyer courses, they're going to teach you about budgeting. They're going to teach you about, you know, being smart with your money instead of, you know, eating out every single night. You know,
I'm guilty.
Yeah, I think we all are that. And you know, just be smart with your money. How to budget, how to pay your taxes, insurance, how everything works. And one of the biggest things that those classes show you too is that you can actually put multiple people on a loan. So, for example, if you have mom and dad that work, but maybe they don't qualify for a purchase of $400,000, you can actually put their son, their daughter, grandma, even on Social Security.
Everyone's income is counted, or how does that work?
Absolutely. So we count everyone's income as household income. So then we would qualify those people using that income as a basis. We also have to count their expenses. So at the end of the day, you know, FHA, there was a joke a long time ago made about that it's for Hispanics, because the word's FHA for Hispanics. Because it's about family. And so, you know, there's a lot of families that get together and they all buy a home together.
Actually, when you were saying that, I was thinking that because it's a very Hispanic thing, you know, to have the granny flat inside the home, which is one of the things that I would like in the future as, you know, my mom gets older. So I mean, that's perfect for somebody who's already considering that, and it's not necessarily something that they're just doing to purchase a home. I think it's also like a culture thing. You know, you sometimes have the aunt and the cousins and everyone already living in one place, but now they can actually all purchase a place and hopefully, you know, help themselves out and be able to afford their own place in the future.
And you make a great point because, you know, then now all of a sudden you have grandma that, you know, we can actually use her income from Social Security to help her qualify for the home. So now, you know, she won't feel like she's just a burden or that she's, you know, living with her daughter or whoever. I mean, she's actually a contributing part of the whole pre-approval process and of the purchase of the home, which is actually really good. So we can use Social Security income, disability income, you know, even unemployment income can be used.
I had no clue. And, you know, I've also seen after the recession, a lot of people lost their homes and couldn't make payments. There's also programs now to help those people in case, because I think it's the fear with a lot of people. I can purchase a home. Yes, I have a job right now, but what if I lose my job and I don't have enough money saved? Maybe I'll save 3 months, but what happens after that, you know?
You know, there's a lot of options. You know, once you get into a situation where you're in trouble, you know, the first thing that you have to do is you have to reach out to your lender. You have to say, hey, you know, here I'm in trouble. What are my options? And there are several different options that happened during that time. There was modifications that were being done, meaning banks would look at your loan, they would restructure it to where they would lower your interest rate to a point where you could actually afford those payments within your household budget to be able to keep you in your home.
And is that something they're still doing for people?
They are, absolutely. You know, so if you have somebody that maybe loses their job, you know, somebody gets injured, can't contribute anymore, and there's a hardship, which is the biggest thing that you have to qualify for the modifications, is absolutely being done. So I would encourage all of our viewers to definitely reach out to your lender and don't, you know, ignore the letters, don't ignore the phone calls, but actually pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some help, and people will help you.
Well, with that, I think I'd reach out to you. You guys have to reach out to Ignacio in case there is any questions that you do have. And I think, you know, that's a really positive outlook that we have right now. Like you said, interest rates, they actually just went up for this month. And I know that that's a sign that the economy is improving. And I think, you know, we can all have a positive outlook. And thank you, Ignacio. I'm really excited. I feel informed, and I feel like we can all just make that step now.
We can, Lili. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Well, with that, we'll be right back with more Somos Uno. Thank you again for watching.
And with that, we are out of time, but we'd like to thank all of our guests today, Lili.
That's right, Ignacio. I want to thank Elias Gallegos. He was here from Alliance Eastlake telling us how he's making a difference in the community.
He absolutely is. And I also like to thank Daniela Porter for sharing her documentary with us, Made in America, that touched all of our hearts here in studio today.
That's right. I'm excited to see it. And also, Ignacio, thank you. I know I had a lot of questions and there was a lot of information that you needed to give us, but I'm glad you did because I'm sure that all of our viewers can appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. And for more content and giveaways, head to our website, somosunotv.com.
That's right. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Instagram, one of my favorites.
Hasta luego.
See you later, guys.